welcome to another episode of the woollentwine fibrestudio knitting podcast. My name is Jule and I'm the dyer and maker behind woollentwine fibrestudio, which is a small creative space located here in northern Germany where I play with natural dyes and natural yarns. Welcome back, or if you're new here, welcome to my little corner of YouTube here where I try to update you every now and then on what's going on behind the scenes at the fibrestudio, and also show you what we're dyeing up for shop updates. So that's what we're gonna do today. It's been a while since I've recorded an episode, so if I'm a little bit rusty, I'm sorry. But yeah, it has been a couple of very turbulent weeks. You might have noticed, if you've been following along for a while, that I usually used to update the shop and have new yarn every 4 weeks roughly, and the last 2 collections have been 6 weeks apart. And that is because we are currently still working on our new studio space that we found back in March. And there have been a couple of ups and downs, let's say it that way. So yeah, it has been very weird and all over the place over the past couple of weeks. So having the regular daily dyeing and working on new collections, new projects for the fall already, alongside the whole studio thing, it's a bit of an issue right now, and I really hope this to be over very soon. But yeah, last time we spoke, I think I told you about the move happening very soon, and we still haven't moved. I'm not sure when I'm going to do it, but I hope to record another episode where I just update you on general life behind the scenes things very soon, because yeah, a lot of things have been happening and I feel it's a bit tricky to update everyone just on Instagram and via newsletters. So I think a little sit-down episode where I just grab my knitting and talk you through what happened over the past couple of weeks might be something nice. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if that's something you're interested in, because I know everyone's requesting a studio tour, but that's gonna be for later. But you know, just a couple of updates on what happened over the past couple of weeks, what we did renovation-wise, what struggles we faced, I think would be something nice to talk about potentially, and also a nice way of keeping track of all these things for me. But yeah, so far about the little intro on why things are a bit slower and a bit more all over the place at the moment. I hope to be back to normal quite soon. We are having a summer vacation for the first time in years this year, so yeah, it's all gonna be a little bit less regular than it used to be, but I hope to be back on track for the fall at least. So let's see, I'm gonna update you on all that. But yeah, to those of you who are new here, in these preview episodes, I usually show everything that will be available in the next collection, which will be the June collection on June 23rd at 8 p.m. CET. And that's when all this yarn that I'm going to show you is going live, and it will be available for purchase. And this collection, somehow, I don't know how it happened. It wasn't really intended to be, but sometimes, you know, I have to go with some ideas, some inspiration, and also some stock keeping, because let's be honest, sometimes I get yarn deliveries later or sooner. With mills, this can always be a little bit unpredictable, and then I have to, juggle around my plans so I can store new batches of yarn, make space for them, and at the same time, have it all as a cohesive collection. So yeah, sometimes I feel like it's a bit unprofessional to say this, but I'm not really planning my collections months ahead, because sometimes there's something coming and something new, and then I have to kind of juggle around all these things. So with this collection, it somehow happened that we have a lot of last timers. So last chances to purchase certain bases because they're either going to be completely gone because they're limited, or they're going on a little bit of a longer hiatus. I'm going to talk you through that in depth. So without further ado, let me give you a little overview on what's going to happen in the June collection. So for this collection, we generally prepared, let's say, 2 main bases and then a little special. The 2 main bases are our Shetland Romney 4-ply and our Heritage base, which is available in a 4-ply and a DK weight. And the Heritage is a limited edition yarn that we sourced locally and got spun locally, so it's actually, that's why it is limited, because I just got 1 batch of fleeces from a year's shearing and I sorted them through and sent them to a mill and got this yarn back. And since, you know, these kind of batches are not really reproducible in the same way because each batch is different, and even if I'm getting a similar clip from the shepherd again, it might not be the same amount of first shearings or first clip fleeces to second clip and all these things. So it's gonna be not really reproducible. So this yarn is going to be available for the last time now. We're not going to have another batch of this, and so yeah, this is the last time this will be available. I have a whole video about this base that I'm going to link here, where I talk you through the whole process of how it was sourced, give you all the ideas of how it looks knitted up. I have a couple of swatches and samples in that video, so maybe check that out. But then the second base that we'll have is our Shetland Romney 4-ply, which is another custom spun yarn that we generally are able to restock, but each spin is different. So since we're ending this spin, kind of, at least for 2 colorways, it will be the last time that we'll have this batch, this yarn in a dyed form, because the colorways that we'll have left now are too dark to dye on, mostly. So don't quote me on that. Maybe I will have 1 or 2 shades on like a darker base, but we won't have an update anytime soon where we have this wide array of light and dark colors on the Shetland Romney 4-ply. So yeah, maybe we might be able to get another spin in the fall, but you know, it's always depending on availability of fleeces and all these things, so I can't really predict that. So in case you were eyeing this base in its dyed form, then now's the time. Lastly, we will have a little special prepared because June is actually my birthday month and I'm turning 30 this year. Actually on the 30th of June, which is really funny. And so I decided to have a little special all around this. And this special will be on our Corriedale sock base, which will be going on a little bit of a longer hiatus after this update. So Corriedale sock is one of our oldest bases, so it feels a bit bittersweet to say goodbye, even if it's not for forever, but for a longer time. But I had to decide on where to go with a couple of things, and I needed to make some space both physically in the studio and in my head, kind of. So yeah, that's what happened. And so we are gonna have a little special with a couple of things on Corriedale sock for this update, and after this, this space will be gone for until further notice. So this is the last time you can get some of this base. But don't worry, it sounds a bit sad and it sounds a bit, you know, negative in a way, but this decision was made based on something that is really cool. So we're going to have something else that's really exciting, and I hope that it will be okay. And I hope to maybe one day bring Corriedale sock back again when it fits into the whole lineup of my bases again. But for now, we're gonna let this go for a while. Yeah, but I think that is it about the little intro. As said, the update will be on the 23rd of June, 8 p.m. CET, and after rambling a lot, I'm gonna jump right in and show you the colorways that we'll have. Okay, so let's start out with our Shetland Romney 4-ply base. This yarn has a 350 meters per 100 grams and is a blend of 50% Romney and 50% Shetland fibers. And due to the Shetland content in this yarn, we are able to offer this in quite a wide range of natural colors because Shetland sheep come in several different shades. And for this update, we're going to restock all of the undyed shades that we're having right now. So let me start showing them to you again, just as a little reminder. I do have another video on this base that I'm also going to link, where I talk you through all these things in depth. I have swatches and everything. So in case you needed a little reminder or some pattern suggestions potentially, there's a lot of info in that video as well. But these are the undyed shades. So this is the light gray, which is a light gray. And then we'll have the light beige. And these two are the shades that I might mainly like to dye on, and therefore I used a little bit more of these bases from the recent spin that we've got. And so this is the last batch of these two shades that we'll have alongside with the dyed ones. So once these are gone, I cannot restock them anytime soon. So these are the light gray and the light beige. Then we'll have the medium beige, which looks a little bit gray because it also has some gray parts in it, but it is actually more of a beige than a gray compared to medium gray. It's more visible maybe. I will hold them up next to each other again. So here we have medium beige and medium gray. And then last but not least, we'll also restock gray brown, which is like a cool undertoned brown, gray brown pretty much. So yeah, but this makes a great contrast with all the lighter colors. So I guess if you're wanting to go for like a color work, let me try to hold them up. If you would like to go for something like a color work sweater or so, the gray brown makes a great great contrast. These are all the 5 undyed shades next to each other. So here we have like medium beige, then we have the gray brown, then we'll have the light gray, the medium gray, and the light beige. And yes, so light beige and light gray will be gone as soon as they sell out, so just a quick reminder. Okay, but these are the undyed shades. Great for just a base color if you wanted to use it with another color for color work, for example. And since this is kind of the last time that we're going to have a larger batch of different dyed colors, we tried to create a pretty wide array of shades just so everyone can find something that they might like. But yeah, these are the undyed shades so far. Also, to show off the natural undyed colorways on the Shetland Romney, I'm actually currently knitting a little kind of sample that is the Stay Soft shawl by Vera Välimäki, I think is her name. I'm sorry if I'm saying this wrong. I'm definitely gonna put it somewhere. But this is just a very simple triangular shawl. Like, it begins triangularly and then you add a little section below. But I'm planning to at least add 3 of the undyed shades so you can see them together. So this one down here is the light beige, and then the contrasting with the striping is gray brown. And I'm currently thinking to either add medium beige or medium gray as a third little color panel, because it has the striped section, then another color panel in the gray brown, I think, and then there's one that is going down one of the sides. It's like a modular kind of pattern. And I will probably use either medium beige or medium gray for that one. But I have to decide that first. Good that I don't have to do that yet. But this is really nice, mindless garter stitch knitting at the moment, which is definitely the only thing I can really handle at the moment. But yeah, this is my Stay Soft shawl, and I hope to finish this one before going on a little adventure in July. I'm not gonna spill the tea yet, but I will be at an event in July where you will be able, if you're local of course, you will be able to purchase some of my yarn in person for the first time. I'm really excited. And I'm going to share a couple of more things over the next couple of weeks after the update took place, and I have a little bit more brain space on sharing about that one. But it's gonna be really cool. I'll have samples, I'll have yarn, and I will be with someone cool, so it's gonna be a really nice event, and I'm gonna share a bit more about that soon. But back to the yarn and back to showing you more things that will be available in the next shop update. I don't really have a particular order, but maybe I will start out with like the restocks and then show you the newer colorways. So this is our colorway Maple Leaf, which is a rusty, warm orange brown. We haven't had this in a while, so it's actually nice to bring it back. And all these shades, by the way, are either dyed on the light gray or the light beige, and therefore they have a slightly heathered effect, which is what I really like when I dye on this base. So yeah, it's actually something I really enjoy. Then I'm not sure if we ever had this on this base, or if we did, if I dyed it on a different base color, because I never saw it in this warm type. But this is our colorway Golden Hour, and it's a pretty straight up mustard green. And this time I dyed it on the light beige shade, since that one has a bit more of a warmer undertone. And I think it turned out so pretty. I don't know if you can see, but it has almost like a glow from within. I don't know. But I think it's really beautiful. So that one is Golden Hour. Then we have another classic. It's actually quite funny to restock at this time of the year, but it was really requested, and so, you know, I thought, why not? But this is Crimson, which kind of established as one of our festive colorways around November and December. But, you know, maybe something in a really bright poppy red is also very summery. So I thought, why not? So this is Crimson. Next up, we'll have another restock that's also like in the reddish brownish region, and that one is Mahogany, which is like a berry reddish brown. That looks beautiful in contrast with any of the neutrals as well. So that one is Mahogany, and then we also have another restock. Oh, is this one a restock as well? Oh yes. We will have something very fresh and spring-like, or summer-like if you will. And that one is Raspberry. And this one is more of a saturated warm pink. I think this is very season appropriate. And then staying in the kind of pinkish region, we will also restock Blush, which is a very light, slightly tonal pink. but way less saturated than raspberry. It's a lot more muted. So yeah, that one is blush. And then I think we have one last restock. Yes, this should be the last one. And that one is eucalyptus, which is a very, very light, fresh green with a grayish undertone. It's not a very bright green. It's more like a very muted and subtle type of green. And I really like how you can see the heathered effect in these lighter colors. So yeah, this is eucalyptus. So I'm not sure if I can hold them all up. Probably not this amount of colorways. But these are the restocks of some of our classic shades. And then, let me put them down. We will also have a couple of new shades and one that's just a true one of a kind. So let me start out with the new shades. So this one is called Fog, and it's like a gray, greenish blue. I don't know if you can see that, but it has a lot of facets, I feel. It's a lot of different hues in this one colorway. And I'm very happy about it because, I don't know, I'm usually leaning towards the warmer tones whenever I dye. I don't know, maybe because I feel drawn to them a little bit more, but this one is one that I really, really enjoy. And I think it also has a very fresh undertone, so it's nice for the summer months as well. Next up, we'll have a slightly darker tone, but since I always know you love brown tones, I wanted to include a brown. And this one is called Bark. And it's a pretty neutral, slightly reddish undertoned brown. So yes, then next up we'll have a new colorway, and that one is called Hawthorn. It's something between a pink, an orange and a brown beige. Something very versatile to wear, I feel. And it's very interesting because this colorway really looks very different depending on what base color I dye it on. So that's something very exciting. So this is Hawthorn. And last but not least, we have a one-of-a-kind shade. And it's really funny. Well, also kind of sad because this is a one-of-a-kind because I used up the very precious last bit of one dye stuff that I had, and that dye stuff I was not able to get again because, you know, with plant dyes, they vary from crop to crop, and that particular crop that I used to have produced a very different kind of undertone of that dye stuff. And therefore it was a lot more, I don't know, coolish in undertone, which I was never able to achieve again. And I really had only a little amount of that dye stuff left, and I decided to use it up now, you know, having the move ahead and not wanting to carry anything that I don't really need anymore. But it was a bit sad because I loved what kind of shades I was able to produce with this. But anyhow, I used it up now and I created a one-of-a-kind colorway that will just be available for one time. That's why it's called one-of-a-kind. And this is it. It is a deep forest green that appears a bit more bluish on camera if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, this is very deep forest green. And I was actually laughing so hard when I was hanging up yarn to dry because I hung this one next to, I think, the golden hour, so the mustard yellow, and the crimson, the really dark red. And I was like, okay, are we dying for Christmas now? It was really, you know, it had a very Christmassy, festive vibe in the middle of June. But anyhow, I think it's a really pretty combination to have the new shades all together. They kind of remind me of foraging in the woods for some reason. For some mushrooms or so. So here we have the One of a Kind, the Fog, then Hawthorn and Bark next to each other. And oh no, there's one more shade. Sorry, my table is so full of things that I am really a little bit all over the place with where my colorways are. But we have one more colorway, and that one was available on BFA Massum a couple of months ago, but I don't think we've ever dyed it on Shetland Romney. So this one is Iris. And it's a pretty saturated purple with a slightly tonal aspect to it as well. But I really like this one. And I think it also goes quite well with our little forest foraging collection. Reminds me of little blossoms popping out of the forest. It's really pretty. I really like this combination. But I'm not gonna keep any for myself because I know I don't have a lot of knitting time anyways, so at the moment it's all a bit much. That's also why you don't really see me knit a lot, because yeah, it's just a lot going on at the moment. But anyhow, let me continue showing you some colorways on the other bases we'll have available. So next up, I'm going to share a bit more about the last batch of Heritage, our locally sourced limited edition yarn. And this one was actually, it was really funny because I had a poll, or I did a poll a couple of weeks ago on Instagram asking you what you would like me to restock for the June collection, and there was a lot of requests for Heritage, and Heritage is a woolen spun yarn, so it's quite a woolly thing, and I was really surprised that you were looking for it in the summer. But anyhow, it made me really happy because, you know, this yarn has a really special place in my heart, because having witnessed every step of the production is something quite special, and therefore I was really happy to bring it back. Most of the requests we had from the poll were for the undyed shade, and that is just this beautiful, lovely beigey shade. And I made sure that we left quite a big amount of Heritage undyed, just because the demand seemed to be really high for this natural shade. As a little reminder, this yarn is 80% Scotch mule and 20% brown Swedish fine wool, resulting in this beautiful heathered light beigey shade. And this is actually the DK weight skein, and it's a 275 meters per 100 grams, although that sounds kind of thin for a DK weight, but it's just a true DK because it has a lot of volume due to being woolen spun. Then we also have the 4-ply version of this one, and that one is 400 meters per 100 grams, so a fingering weight. And yeah, alongside the undyed shades, because we don't really restock our silk mohair base cloud in this update, I had to kind of limit my dye capacities to a couple of bases, and I'm not really able to restock it every time. But I'm going to list a couple of skeins in the undyed white shade, just because it looks really nice with the undyed Heritage. Let me show you. I also show this in depth in the full intro video of Heritage, but this is the Javelin shawl by Teddy Lutzak that my mom knitted as a sample for the Heritage base. And this is knitted with a strand of cloud silk mohair in the undyed shade. And as you can see, it lightens up the color a tiny bit, but it looks really nice with the undyed Heritage. And because this is going to be the last batch, I wanted to, even though we're not really restocking Cloud, I wanted to make it easy to find the same yarn combination that we used for this shawl. And so, yeah, I ended up adding a couple of skeins of the undyed Cloud. So just as a quick reminder, because I just showed the other sample, or the Javelin shawl in Heritage, we also had another sample that I'm also showing in depth in the dedicated video about Heritage, but this one is the Zakuri cardigan, and I think it's just beautiful. The designer's name is Noriko Ishikawa, I think, and this is just a beautiful design that is working perfectly in the Heritage DK base. It has these clever little details at the hems and at the cuffs. And yeah, I talk about this more in depth in the dedicated episode, but I just wanted to quickly show you how it knits up. And I'm still very in love with it months later. So I can really recommend if you were looking into getting some Heritage DK, this pattern works perfectly. All the amounts and info and gauge swatch and all these things are in the dedicated video, and you can jump through the sections where I just talk about the samples, and then you can just get all the info again. Also, there's still quite a bit of stock in the shop because our May collection was huge. We had a lot of yarn in that update, and I think we should still have a couple of shades in Cloud available, if I'm not mistaken. And maybe even, I don't even know, but I think there should be a couple of skeins of Barley left, which is the light beige as well, that is initially, was initially dyed to match our Unspun yarn in the colorway Barley, but it would also go very beautifully with the undyed Heritage. So yeah, make sure to also maybe check out the shop stock, because I'm not going to show everything that's still in the shop from the last update again in this video. So in case you're interested, you can check it out in the shop right now. But yeah, let me continue showing the colorway. So this is the undyed on Heritage, and I'm going to show you these colorways on one of the two bases, either the DK or the 4-ply, but they should be available on both bases except for one, I think. Yeah, there's one that is only available on the DK because I made a little mistake in calculating what I can dye. So I'm sorry if that is a bit confusing, but you know, sometimes it's a bit tricky to juggle all the colorways, and especially with limited edition bases, I don't get, let's say, like a so and so many hundred skeins perfectly in the same increments and all these things. I just get random numbers sometimes, and so it can be a bit tricky to work with it, especially because we had a little bit more of the DK spun than of the 4-ply, and you know, this can always be a bit of a challenge to get it all even. So in this case, we have one colorway that's only available on the DK. All the other ones are available on both bases. So without further ado, let me show you the colorway that will only be available on the DK first. And this one is the colorway Lavender, which is a gray toned purple. Quite muted, really pretty. And this one is only available on the DK, but it should not be too bad because we will also have Shell, and that one is going to be available on the DK and the 4-ply, and this one is a muted purple as well. It's just a little lighter and less grayish than the Lavender. So yeah, these are our two kind of purpley colorways. Next up, we're staying in the kind of muted region. Don't worry, I also dyed a couple of more summery shades. But we dyed our muted colorway Pigeon. And this is a very special colorway because it kind of shifts with light between purple, gray, and green. It's very special, and I really like it therefore. So it's very muted and very, you know, others would probably describe this more like a winter colorway. But I think it's just very versatile because it really shifts with the light, and I also think some people might enjoy it in the summer. So that one is Pigeon. Then next up, we also dyed this one on Heritage, that we also dyed on the Shetland Romney 4-ply, and this one is Raspberry, a quite saturated warm pink. It's even a bit warmer on the Heritage, I feel, because the base color of the yarn is a bit warmer. Slightly tonal again, especially on woollentwine yarns. Sometimes it happens that the dye is not penetrating the same at every strand, so it can be a little bit tonal, but I think that makes it a very lively color as well. So this one is Raspberry. Then we also dyed Hawthorn on the Heritage base. I think it's even a bit more pinkish in real life. It looks very brownish beige in the camera, I feel. But it's very beautiful and slightly more pinkish in real life. Then we have another new colorway that I'm really happy about. And this one is Amber. And it kind of reminds me, if I would compare it to other classic colorways that we used to have, it reminds me as if Caramel and Maple Leaf had a child. It's like a bit more warmish than Caramel, but not a lot. And I think it's really beautiful. So this is Amber. And last but not least, we have another one of a kind colorway, and this was a crazy experience, and this really shows how natural dyes are just something untamable sometimes, and even with years of experience, sometimes things happen. And I don't know how this actually came together, because I was intending to dye another colorway, and what happened was this. It's almost black. And it's like a black with a little bit of purple undertone. But I was really surprised because it's, you know, it was really special. And since I'm not really sure what happened, this has to be a one of a kind because I won't be able to recreate it. But yeah, this is a one of a kind, and it's almost black. I mean, you can see it next to my truly black shirt, how dark it is. I'm really amazed. It's like a black, brown, purple. But I think it's really cool. And I'm happy that it actually happened in 2 of the pots, because otherwise I would only have either the 4-ply or the DK, but in this case I was lucky enough that it happened twice. I don't know what it was, whether I made a mistake while mordanting or while weighing dye stuffs or whatever. Natural dyes are amazing and so unpredictable. But yeah, I guess that was it on the Heritage base. As mentioned, this is the last batch that we'll have, and so I really hope you will find something that you like. And you know, this base has a really special place in my heart, and I really hope it will make you as happy as it made me working with it and creating it. And yeah, I just hope you will love it just as much as I do. Before we jump into the little special section that I prepared, I wanted to give you a little reminder that with the June collection we'll also still keep our Unspun yarn Thrive listed in the recent shades Barley and Malt. These are the 2. This is Barley and this is Malt. And I have another dedicated video about that base as well, talking you through the making process and everything, in case you're curious. But I just wanted to mention that it's gonna be available in the June collection again, and that especially mold is quite low in stock. I think we are down to like 2 boxes, so 2 or 2.5. So yeah, if you're looking for it, I think now is the time to get it, because I'm also not sure if I might close the order possibility for Thrive for a couple of weeks, because it might be tricky with the move, because we have an issue with one of the storage rooms where there's moisture. I'm going to talk about that in a dedicated video, but Thrive's boxes are quite large, and I cannot really, you know, put them into my storage, my regular storage unit, because they are just too big, and I cannot really put them in other boxes, because then I could put like 5 in one box or so. And I would need a certain easily reachable area where I could store the boxes that would also be safe and not, you know, have an issue with moisture. So it might be that I have to kind of stop the sales of these particular colors for a while until we figure the problem out, because it would be a mess. You know, I cannot really leave it at the old studio and taking it to the new one. I have another storage cellar, luckily, that is dry and safe for storage. But that one is a bit tricky to access, so it's not in the studio. You have to go around to like a little patio thing. It's a bit further away, and if I had to run there to pack every order, you know, it would be a bit tricky, and therefore I might close the sales of Thrive until the problem is figured out. So I will keep it open definitely for the June collection, and I will inform about it again later if I end up closing it, but I just wanted to give a little reminder and heads up in case you wanted to order some Thrive, that now it would be good to do, because I don't know how it's all gonna be. But yeah, that's it about Thrive, our unspun yarn. Quickly speaking of molten barley, this is not blocked yet, but I wanted to quickly show you because it's very pretty. My mom finished the sample in this batch of Thrive, and this is the Tuku sweater by the Petite Knitter, and it is knit in malt as the main color and barley in contrasting. And I will really show you this one in depth again in a dedicated knitting episode, but I just wanted to show it to you as a little inspiration in case you would like to yeah, knit something or would like to have some inspiration on what to work in Thrive. So this is the Tuku by the Petite Knitter. Maybe not really season appropriate, but you know, you always gotta be prepared for winter, right? Anyhow, this is the Tuku, and it's just really lovely. Without further ado, let me tell you a little bit more about the little special that we prepared. So, as mentioned in the beginning, June is my birthday month, and it's my birthday on the 30th of June. And I kind of wanted to make a little special also with Corriedale sock going. Well, it always sounds so bad, but you know, with it being kind of discontinued, I wanted to make something really fun, and therefore I created a little special all-around mini skeins. So we're gonna have some sets of mini skeins on our Corriedale sock base and some sock sets, no regular skeins or anything, but we'll also have our mystery grab packs, grab bags, I don't know how to call it, again, and I'm going to explain that to you a little bit later. But first of all, let me give you a little recap on Corriedale sock. It is a 100% Corriedale fiber sock yarn with 400 meters per 100 grams and a slightly higher twist for durability. So it's very suitable for socks, but also for other projects such as shawls or even sweaters, because it's very versatile in its kind of makeup, even though it has a higher twist, that doesn't necessarily affect it all too much. Of course, it's not super drapey, but you can definitely knit a beautiful shawl with this yarn. And yeah, without further ado, let me show you what we prepared. So first of all, we'll have two different sock sets. These are both 120 grams, so a full 100 gram skein plus a mini of 20 grams, so you can use it for contrasting heels, cuffs and toes. And the first set is this one, and it's called Portobello, just like the portobello mushroom, because it kind of reminded me of that with the dark brown head, and you know, just somehow reminded me of portobello mushrooms. They are commonly used, at least here, they are commonly used for vegetarian substitutes in burgers. And I'm a vegetarian, so I am very familiar with portobello burgers, which is very nice. So I kind of had the resemblance here. So this is the portobello sock set. Next up, we'll have the poppy sock set, because it features a kind of poppy red mini and a beautiful pastel rosy full skein. And I really like that one. And maybe if you follow me and you've sneak peeked some on my Instagram, poppies are one of my favorite flowers. I have one tattooed on my arm, and I just really love this. So as a little celebration of my birthday, I thought it's very fitting to have a poppy sock set. Oops, sorry, I almost dropped it. To have a poppy sock set. So yeah, these are the sock sets. Next up, we will have the mini skein sets, and yeah, these sets are something that I cannot really offer regularly because they are a labor of love. Each of these minis is hand wound from cones, and it takes quite a while. But it was also extremely fun because I was dyeing all these shades, and I was experimenting with some new techniques and new recipes, and it was just a lot of fun dyeing smaller quantities in comparison to always having the large pots for the larger quantities. So this was a lot of fun, and these mini skeins were actually, as a celebration of my birthday month, I thought it's very fitting to name them all after some summer flowers, summer cut flowers, which I thought is very fitting. So we'll start out with the first one, and this one is called Peony, and it has a lot of rosy pinkish shades. I will try to put them all next to each other, maybe. It's possible like this or like this. So yeah, a lot of pinkish rosy shades, and even a little speckled mini. I think that's very pretty. And yeah, it just reminded me of the different pinkish shades of peonies, hence the name. So this is the peony sock set. Next up, we'll have something slightly more muted for those of you who might prefer neutral colorways. And this one reminded me of thistles, like the dried thistles that you can put into cut flowers. A friend of mine is actually growing her own cut flowers, and I get a bouquet from her every 2 weeks. And I just recently had a thistle in my bouquet, and I just absolutely loved it. So this is the thistle mini skein set. I don't know if you can see that. I hope it's okay that I hold it up this way. But it features a lot of pastel neutral shades that I think are really pretty. Next up, we'll have a slightly punchier mini skein set. And this one is called Zinnia. It has a lot of warmer shades. Let me put it here. Some brownish, some pinkish, but just in general a little bit more warm. So this is the Zinnia mini skein set. And last but not least, we have this one, and this is called Scabiosa. It has a variegated mini skein. I don't know if you can see that in the middle, but it has a variegated mini and some greens and some purples, which I also really like. And just as a little reminder, these all have 6 20-gram mini skeins, so it's 480 meters. Plenty for a pair of socks, or if you wanted to combine it with a full skein, you could also make a beautiful shawl or something. I think Tammy Gore has some beautiful shawls that are suitable for using mini skeins with some larger skeins. But yeah, these are all the minis. They look so fun together, I feel. And yeah, as said, this is the last chance to get your hands on Corriedale sock. We also have quite a few full skeins in the shop still, so maybe you can check out the current stock and know what full skeins we still have. But then we have all these minis and the sock sets, and they are quite limited, so I don't have like a lot of them just because it's very labor intensive to make them. But I hope you will love them as much as I do. I think they're just so cute. Yeah, but this is not all for the little birthday special, because we're also going to have more mini skeins. I thought it's a nice idea to have, you know, for those of you who might not be ready to purchase yarn at the moment, but wanted to have a little bit more of the Corriedale sock base because it's now going. We will also have our mystery mini skein packs. These launched for the first time, I think 2 months ago or so, with our subscriber exclusive sale. And these are little random bundles of mini skeins, all 20-gram minis. And they will be available in a 3 mini skeins or 5 mini skeins pack. And they will be mystery, so you won't know the colorways before. They will be at random, and they will be available at a very reduced price point, which I think makes it a bit more accessible for those of you who might not really feel good at spending a lot of money on more yarn at the moment, but wanted to have a little more Corriedale sock. Maybe this is a good option. Again, these are limited as well. And they might not all differ. So last time we had a couple of orders where more than one of these packs were added, and I cannot guarantee if you add more than one that they are all different, because, you know, of some we might have a random number of 5 or 6 minis, and, you know, I assemble them all, and then I don't really know if they are all different from each other. So that it might happen that you get twice, like 2 of the same, or at least of similar. So just keep that in mind if you order more than one. So yeah, the mystery packs will be available as well. Colors won't be shown before, so it's a little bit of a surprise once you open it. And I hope these will be a fun little special, so we can celebrate me turning 30. It feels so surreal because I have a feeling as if I just turned 25. So it just, you know, the past couple of years, they were just a little bit passing by pretty quickly. So yeah, but so we can celebrate all together. I wanted to prepare this little special, and I hope you will be happy to celebrate with me a little bit. But yes, I guess that is it for the June collection. I will give you a little recap now. So the June collection will be on the 23rd of June at 8 p.m. CET, so next Friday. And as mentioned, a lot of these yarns are kind of last timers, so I would recommend being on time for this update because, yeah, I cannot really provide you with more, especially of the heritage base. It will be gone once it's gone. And same for the Corriedale. So I would recommend, if you're looking for something that I just showed to you, that you will be on time for the update next Friday. And as always, I will start packing either on Sunday or on Monday. So please, if you end up placing more than one order, please send me an email with your order details and let me know that you would like them to be shipped together, because I cannot really automatically find out that there are multiple orders. So you need to send me an email with your order numbers. But also a thing that I want to mention about this, it's always quite a bit of a challenge to combine orders, so wherever you're able to avoid it, I'm happy. Sounds so bad, but you know what I mean. It's a lot of work for me, and always these shipping things after the update can be quite tough and stressful. So yeah, wherever it can be made easier for me, I'm very happy. But yeah, I guess that is it for this update. I hope you will enjoy it just as much as I do, and that you will find something you love. And I cannot wait to speak to you very soon in a little update episode. And until then, I hope you'll enjoy the collection and have a lovely weekend. Bye!